What's up, guys? Raj-Mahal here. Mayo on a steak? Sounds weird, right? Let's get into it. So I've been seeing that there's a trend in the culinary world to, instead of butter basting or doing butter on a steak, to use mayo. And I think the reason for it is because the eggs with the oil help with searing, help with flavor, causing some sort of thing called the Maynard reaction. I'm not trying to get into the science, right? I'm not trying to get into the science. If you want me to, I can do that in another video. I'm just trying to find the best way to make a steak. That's what it comes down to. I love steaks. I sous vide steaks. I grill steaks. Cast iron steaks. But when I was told about doing a mayo steak, I gotta admit, that piqued my interest, piqued my curiosity. So I figured, I'm trying to do this channel. I talked about how I wanted to talk a lot about technology. I wanted to talk a lot about cooking. So I thought, if I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna do all this work anyways. I might as well record a video, and I might as well talk about it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I did exactly what the title of this video says. I put mayo on a steak. And you know what? I think it might be better than doing butter. So first things first, whatever you want to do with a steak, whenever you get it, is you want to pat it dry. You don't want to have a lot of moisture, right? You want it to be able to adhere to what you got. So what I'm doing, right, is I'm just patting it down a little bit. I already did the sides before I started filming. I'm doing the top and the bottom right now. And then I clean my cutting board pretty often. I think while filming this, I cleaned it at least 8 times. So what I do right after this is I just roll it straight onto the cutting board. And a lot of people at this point is when they would salt and pepper, but that's now where we're going to do our sauce. And our sauce or our marinade is mayo. I like to go with Duke's. Hulu ads have convinced me it's the best. Garlic, salt, pepper, and a little bit of thyme. And now, if I was butter basting this, I'd go with the thyme, in the end with the butter. But mixing it in right now, it gives it that freshness, gives it that flavor, and it gives it more time to kind of set in and also sear that flavor in, which is just amazing. So doing it this way, I feel is a little bit better. And so I just take I use a spoon to get a nice thin layer at the beginning, and then I flip it over, and then I'm going to do the other side with my hand. And you don't want to go too thick of a layer here. Some people apparently like to just bathe their steak in like butter or mayo, and I see it caked on, but I want to be able to see that meat. I want to be able to get a nice sear and get that flavor still. So that's what we're doing right here. So now I'm doing a cast iron today, and I'm getting that cast iron really, really hot. I want it like smoking hot. I want it to just be able to toss that steak on when it's ready and to get it going. What I've got in this cast iron is, I keep it pretty well seasoned, but right now what I've got in it is a little bit of avocado oil, because I love avocado oil and that high smoke point really helps. And then what I've also got is just some bacon grease from some bacon I made earlier today. What I like to do, and you'll see why, is I like to take a shallot and I like to just, rub it around the cast iron and let it sit on the cast iron for a couple minutes while the cast iron heats up. And what this helps is it's going to, unlock some more flavors of the shallot, and it's going to give it some nice color. And you're going to see why that's kind of important towards the end here, because that's going to be a really, really great move. In fact, what I talk about later on is I talk about, finishing salt and stuff like that, because I think finishing salt on a steak is delicious. But what I'm going to do with this shallot is going to take that to the next level. Like, it's going to just take it to the next level. We're not going to have to worry about finishing salt at all. So we got the cast iron now nice and smoky. We got our shallots taken care of. I think it's about time to put down that steak. And that steak, you're going to see it here in a second. That sizzle, those juices immediately. Look at that. I wish I wasn't talking so much, and I wish the exhaust fan wasn't on when I did that. Otherwise, I would play back the audio so you can hear that sizzling. It sounded amazing. You can see a little bit right there already what's happening with that Maynard reaction. A little bit of the mayo, a little bit of the fats are breaking away, but it's also interacting with that bacon grease and that avocado oil. And the reason why I like to do a little bit of bacon grease, and besides, just having a reason to eat some more bacon, is that smokiness and the saltiness from the bacon is going to also help impart some extra flavor, right? And to quote a man that I've never met before, but I think we'd be semi-decent friends, that's going to be a lot of Flavor Town right there. And so, by doing this, we're bringing a lot more flavor and a lot more energy to the rest of this steak, And that's just going to be such a great experience. So now what we're letting it do is we're letting it sear on one side. And I really wanted to just get that close up. I really wanted to just show off what exactly is happening right there because it looks beautiful and honestly, it smelled so good. You can see me just antsing around right there. I did not want to wait. I was like, maybe I should just turn this to beef tartare because it smelled amazing. Just absolutely amazing. And now it's time to flip that steak and look at that beautiful sear. Now, I'm going to be honest, I probably could have waited an extra 10 seconds for that middle part to get a better sear, but I was so impatient and it smelled amazing. And trust me, when you see that other side, you're going to realize it was just fine. But it's just amazing. We're seeing that. And now, there was a thought of me that was like, maybe I could butter baste it a little bit. And, I decided I'm going to go full on mayo here. No butter baste whatsoever, despite my better thoughts and my better judgment. And we'll see how that goes. So we've got all these juices. We've got this nice steak. It's cooking in there. We got to do those sides, though. And so we're just going to quickly sear off the sides, get rid of that remaining mayo, turn that into a delicious crust. And you're going to see right here, it's bubbling, it's beautiful, it's still sizzling, and that's just amazing. In fact, here up in a second, you can see on one of the close-ups that you can see the thyme has really been seared into the steak. And that's just going to help, again, so much with Flavor Town. It's going to help so much with freshness, and it's just going to be delicious. It's going to literally be the equivalent, the actual version of the chef's kiss. Just beautiful, amazing, so good. I wish you guys could have been there in the kitchen to smell this. And I know it's looking pretty smoky. No smoke detectors went off during the making of this steak. So now it's time for the final reveal, or at least the semi-final reveal. Now we're going to let that steak rest, and this is going to be honestly the hardest part for me. I always hate letting steaks rest. I should have even tented it, but I'm still moving into the new place, and unfortunately, no aluminum foil. But I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that shallot from earlier. Like I said, this is going to be a move that beats finishing salt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a grater, and I'm just going to grate some shallot. And I know, this sounds weird. Why would you grate a shallot? But there is reasoning here. I personally like the flavor of the shallot, and it's a little bit saltier because of the bacon grease. But that's not going to be the only thing. I am going to then take a little bit of that mayo concoction from earlier that I marinated the steak in, and I put that to the side, and I'm now going to add in those shallots. And this is going to make just a nice little thing to either put on top of the steak or put under the steak. And if you don't want to do the sauce, if you don't want that mayo flavor, I get that. Doing this with just a little bit of salt on top of it and putting those shallots straight on top of the steak as a little bit of a garnish is just so delicious. And it's going to add more than just what regular finishing salt could add. And it's just, again, trust me, just saying it again now on this voiceover is making me salivate for more. So it's been about 10 minutes, and now let's go ahead. We're gonna cut into the steak. I'm gonna see if I can get a better angle. That's looking pretty good. We're zoomed in a little. And let's go ahead. Let's see what the steak is looking like. And there we go. A beautifully cooked, a perfectly cut steak. Look at that. Almost no gray ring around it like you would get with sous vide.
So, went ahead, cut it up into some strips to show off how juicy and everything it looks. Look at that color, look at that taste, look at that everything. So now, let's go ahead and try it. So yeah, like I said, let's go ahead and try it. I'm gonna take a nice little piece right here. Just bite it, cut it up. So, cheers, let's see this thing. It's nice, it's got that good crust and that good sear. It's still nice and juicy. That garlic and that thyme. But you know, it's missing one thing. It's missing one thing, and I'm glad I get to do this on camera, even if it is my first cooking video. It's missing one thing. It's missing finishing salt. To get that nice big salt crystal, really enhances the flavor. Now, the shallot thing that I did will also help with that because it's got some salt in there. But if you really want to step up your steak game, if you're doing it like this, good finishing salt goes a long, long way. But I'm gonna go back to enjoying the steak. I hope you guys like this video. Cooking, steak, mayo, amazing, beautiful sear. Catch you guys on the next video.